Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. So dear students, as you know that your revision test has started from today and tomorrow is your revision test of English. Okay. So in today's video I have decided to discuss all the chapters which are coming in your paper 1 of revision test 3. Okay. So one by one we will discuss the examination type questions for all 3 chapters, their summary, important points. Okay, so let us begin. The last lesson written by Alphonse Daudet. Introduction. The last lesson is set against the backdrop of Franco-Prussian War 1870 to 1871, in which France was defeated by Prussia in the war led by Bismarck. Prussia then consisted of what now are the nations of Germany, Poland, and parts of Austria. In this story, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine have passed into Prussian hands. The story also shows the effect of this incident on the normal life in the schools. It also highlights the pain that was inflicted upon the people of a territory by the conquerors, who took away the rights of the people who study or speak their own language. Who took away the rights of the people to study or speak their own language. Now, summary of the chapter. As Franz started very late for his school that morning, he was in a great fear, especially because of teacher M. Hamel. M. Hamel had said that he would put up questions on participles, and Franz did not know anything about it. For a moment, he thought of running away and spend the day out. It was a warm and bright day. Birds were twittering outside and soldiers were practicing. All these things were more attractive than the rules of participles. But anyhow, he forced himself to move hurriedly towards the school. When he was passing the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all the bad news, like the lost battles and the orders of the commanding officers, had been displayed on that notice board. What could be the matter then? He thought without stopping. The blacksmith, who had read the bulletin, told Franz not to hurry. There was plenty of time, he had told him, but Franz did not slow down. He thought that the blacksmith was poking fun at him. Franz wanted to reach his desk unnoticed. There was no chance of Franz entering the room unnoticed, as he decided that he would take help the commotion to enter the class, but it was not like that. He had to open the door and enter before everybody else. Unexpectedly, M. Hamel did not rebuke him. Instead, he spoke kindly to him and told him to go to his desk. When Franz had settled down, he looked at M. Hamel. There was another surprise for him. Amhamel had put on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and his embroidered black silk cap. He used to put on these clothes only on special occasions. But it was no special day. Franz could not understand why Mr. Hamel had put on those Sunday clothes. There was still another surprise in store for Franz. There were village people on the back benches that had always been empty. The former mayor, the former postmaster, the old houser with his triangular cap, and some other village people occupied those back benches. Mr. Hamel climbed up his chair and spoke to his pupils in a gentle and serious tone. He told them that an order has come from Berlin. An order had come from Berlin. French would not be taught to them anymore. Instead, German was going to be taught, and the new teacher was expected to arrive the next day. The students were going to have their last lesson in French that day. Now, he knew what order was there on the bulletin board and why the blacksmith had told him not to hurry. He could also see why Mr. Hamel had put on his best clothes. Mr. Hamel's words struck Franz like a thunderbolt. He was lost in thoughts. He had hardly learned how to read and write. He felt that he would have to stop forever. He was sorry to have wasted his time. He had always been enjoying himself outdoors. He had hated his books. He had dreaded Amhamel and his iron ruler. But his attitude suddenly changed. He felt that his books were good companions. He did not mind Mr. Hamel's ruler and rebukes. Now he also understood why the people of the village was there. They were also sorry that they had not been to school for much time. Now they had come to thank the teacher for his faithful service. Mr. Hamel asked Franz to tell the rule of the participle. Mr. Hamel asked Franz to tell the rule for the participle. Franz wished he could tell the rule, but he failed miserably. Mr. Hamel did not scold Franz. He said Franz was not the only person to blame. The people of Alsace had never been interested in learning. The people always put it off till the next day. Franz's parents wanted Franz to earn some money instead of going to school. Mr. Hamel said they were strange Frenchmen. He had wanted to go fishing. He said sometimes he had closed the school. Mr. Hamel said they were strange Frenchmen who could not write and read their own language. He also blamed himself. He said sometimes he had closed the school when he had wanted to go fishing. Mr. Hamel then praised his mother tongue. He said that French is the most beautiful, most logical, and clearest language in the world. He exhorted the people to stick to it. He assured them that if they held fast to their language, they would not be able to get rid of they would be able to get rid of Prussian rulers. Their language was the key to their freedom from slavery. It was Mr. Hamel's last day at school, but he had the courage and devotion to do his teaching work as usual. He taught grammar, he gave writing exercises, he asked little children to trace their fish hooks. Franz listened to his lesson attentively. He felt Hamel had explained the lesson so clearly, which he had never done before. It appeared to him that on that last day, he wanted to give his pupils all the knowledge he had. The church clock struck 12. It was the time for the school to close. Mr. Hamel wanted to say something, but he was overwhelmed with emotions. He wrote, "Vive la France," on the blackboard and with a wave of his hand dismissed the class. The title of the lesson is about the last and best lesson of French that the people of Alsace and Lorraine attended before the two places were passed into Prussian hands. Okay, so it's all about the chapter. Now let us practice question answer of last 10 years. Okay, so we are going to practice some questions and their answer, and you people will also be given questions for practice. Let us begin. We have gone through the summary. Now let us practice question answer. Already we have discussed each and everything about the chapter. The lesson highlights the importance of mother tongue that helps the people of a country to come together for a bigger cause. It's human tendency to procrastinate, to postpone things for tomorrow, and realize the importance of things when they are snatched. So M. Hamel, the French language teacher, here ignites patriotism among the students and refers mother tongue as a key to their freedom. Now let us discuss question answer. So answer the first we are going to discuss solved short answer type questions. Then we will discuss long answer type questions. Why was Franz reluctant to go to school? So his French teacher said that he would ask questions on participles. He had not prepared and learned the rules about participles. So that is why he did not want to go to school. Why had M. Hamel put on his fine Sunday clothes? So the order from Berlin stated that only German would be taught in schools and not the French language. M. Hamel knew that it was his last French lesson. It was in the honor of the last French lesson he had put on his fine Sunday clothes, which he put on inspection and prize distribution day. Why were the villagers sitting there in the back of the classroom? The villagers, old houser, postmaster, and several others were there in the classroom because it was their way of showing respect for their country and thanking M. Hamel for his 40 years of faithful service. They too felt sorry that they had not been to school. Additional questions, short answer type questions for practice, which dear students you must practice. For France, what was the more tempting than going to school and why? Second one, why was M. Hamel sad and emotional on the last day at school? Third, how were the parents and teacher responsible for the lack of interest for studies among students? Fourth, what is the significance of the last words written on the blackboard by M. Hamel? How does M. Hamel appreciate their mother tongue? Why? Now, question number 6. These words were thunderclap for me. What was the impact of those words on little France? Seventh one. What changes did the order from Berlin cause in the school? Now, long answer type questions. Our language is a part of our culture and we are proud of it. Describe how regretful M. Hamel and the village elders are for having neglected their native language. So these are some suggested value points which you can use in your answer. According to the latest order from Berlin, only German was to be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. This affected everyone badly as everyone was repenting on having wasted the time and not learning French. Mr. Hamel felt guilty for sending his students for his personal tasks. The parents of the students never bothered and sent children to work on the farm or at mills. Elders showed regret too. They neither learnt French themselves nor did they encourage their children. Of course, M. Hamel, villagers, and even France all were honest enough to accept the mistake of neglecting French language. Write a speech for your morning assembly. Next question, question number 2. Write a speech for your morning assembly on the topic significance of language, mother tongue in our life. Value points are: language empowers countrymen, binds together, better understanding of the subject matter, used as a weapon to fight a cause, shows strength of nation, better expression. Everyone should feel proud of one's mother tongue. Now questions are there for practice which you must practice. Write an article on the need of patriotic feeling among the youth as we feel modern youth lack in patriotic spirit of motherland. Second, how did M. Hamel make his lesson a special one? Third one, describe the atmosphere in the class on the day of the last lesson. Okay, dear students. So after discussion of chapter 1. Now we are going to discuss poem 1, My Mother at 66. My Mother at 66, written by Kamla Das. Introduction. In this poem, the poetess is commenting on the relationship between a mother and a daughter when they cannot afford to be together for long. The poetess is going to catch the plane at Cochin. Her old mother, pale and sick, is also accompanying her to the airport. The mother looks colorless, like a dead body. She is unlikely to live for long. The poetess doubts if she will be able to meet her again. She looks out the car and finds young trees racing past. She also notices happy children running out of their houses. They stand for a healthy and hopeful life. The old mother is nearing her end. The poetess becomes shaky, but she tries to cheer up the old woman with a smiling face and promises to see her mother again. A summary of the poem. The poetess was on her way back to Cochin the previous Friday morning to catch a flight. Her mother was seated beside her in the car. The old woman started feeling drowsy. She had her mouth open. Her face looked pale and ash colored as that of a dead body. The poetess became panicky. She thought that her mother would not live long. She was deeply pained. She tried to overcome her fear. She looked out of the window. The young trees appeared to be running back at full speed. She also saw cheerful children coming out of their homes. They were in sharp contrast to her own aged mother. They reached the airport and passed through the formal security check. From the distance of a few yards, the poetess looked at her mother again. The mother was weak and pale like the moon in a late winter night. The sight of her revived the narrator's old childhood fear of being away from her mother. There was no hope of improvement in her condition. Okay, so already line-wise explanation has been done. In stanza 1 we have seen, while driving to Cochin from her parents' home, the poetess' mother accompanied her in the car to see her off. She sat beside the poetess. At one moment, when the poetess turned and looked at the mother, she noticed that her mother was dozing and her mouth was open. Her face had turned ashen, that is, it seemed as if it had lost the vitality of life, and her face looked like that of a corpse, that is, dead body. The poetess was frightened as the reality seized her that her mother had grown old. She was not ready to accept it as old age is followed by death. Therefore, she tried to put the thought away. Now, poetic device simile, Asian like that of a corpse. Second stanza, she started looking out in order to take away the frightening thought from her mind. She noticed the trees printing in contrast to her mother, who looked lifeless while sitting beside her. She also noticed children coming out of their home happily. The happy children are the representatives of youth and power. Probably they were reminding her of the time when poetess was a child and her mother was young. So then they reached the airport. After the security check at the airport, she again looked at her mother who was standing a few yards away. She again felt that old familiar ache of losing her mother, who looked like a late winter's moon, which loses its beauty in the fog. She felt that her mother had also lost her youth, vitality, and become inactive. She had a childhood fear of permanent separation from her mother, but she did not know it to her mother. She did not show it to her mother. She kept on smiling and said, "See you soon, Amma." These were the words of reassurance that they would meet again, and she smiled uh, in an attempt to hide her feeling. Personification and imagery, trees printing, simile as a late winter's moon, alliteration, see you soon, repetition, smile and smile. Now let us discuss stanza based questions and short and long answer type questions. Stanza based solved questions. Read the following extracts and answer the questions that follow. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. Doors open mouthed, her face Asian like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away. So, where was the poet driving to? So, she was driving from her parents' house to Cochin airport. So, what did the poet notice about her mother? So, she noticed that her mother was growing old. What does the poet compare her mother's face with? She compares her mother's face with the of a corpse. Name the poetic device used in the stanza, that is simile. Now the stanza 2 for practice. So please take the screenshot and must practice these questions. Okay dear students, so short answer type questions are there which I am showing here on the screen. You should take the screenshot and you must practice them. Okay. Now let us revise formal invitation writing and advertisement. So formal invitation, they are written in the form of card. As you can see here, the formal invitation which is written on the behalf of a father. Okay, you can see Mrs. and Mr. Madan Sharma solicit your gracious presence on the auspicious occasion of the marriage of their granddaughter Sonali, daughter of Mrs. Savita, and Mr. Rahul Sharma with Sridhar, son of Mrs. Suman and Kapil Sharma, on 17 December 2019 at 7:30 p.m. at Red Carpet Party Lawn, Preet Bihar, the address, then with the best compliments from Vinod Sharma and all relatives. Then RSVP, under RSVP the name and address of the person is given who can be contacted. Okay, in case of need, that person can be contacted. Okay, one more example of annual function, annual day celebration, you can see here. So such advertisements are written in the form of card. Okay, and while replying, questions for practice also have been given. The same will be posted on Snap homework, and already the supporting material has been also shared with you. This is the acceptance. So Mrs. and Mr. Ajay Gupta thank Mrs. and Mr. Satish Sharma for their kind invitation on the housewarming party on 17th January 2019 at 11 a.m. Which they are delighted to accept. It's their great pleasure to attend the ceremony. It is acceptance of formal invitation. Formal acceptance now. Refusal. Mrs. and Mr. Ajay Gupta thank Mrs. and Mr. Satish Sharma for their kind invitation and the housewarming party on 17th January 2019 at 11 a.m. but regret their inability to accept the same due to urgent and unavoidable assignment abroad. Okay. Now these are the questions for practice. Now formal invitation to preside over or inaugurate or judge the event. So such invitations are written in the form of personal letter. Okay, here you can see invitation to preside over the zonal declamation competition. Okay, sir, the English Literary and Cultural Society of our school is organizing an English declamation competition on the topic communication skills are very important in the modern world on 21st January 2018 9:30 am. Okay, in the school auditorium. Kindly consent to preside over in the above said program. Yours sincerely, Neha. Okay, formal acceptance. So if you are accepting it, so dear Neha, many thanks for inviting me to preside over the interzonal declamation competition to be held on 27th January 2019 at 9:30 p.m. I shall be highly delighted to attend the function and enjoy listening to the views of students. I will be kind of you if you could provide me the official transport. This is acceptance. If it is refusal, so format will remain the same. Many thanks for inviting me to preside over the interzonal declamation competition to be held on 28th January 2019 at 9:30 p.m. But I am sorry to say that I shall not be able to attend the same due to a prior appointment with my doctor. Okay, with warm regards, yours sincerely, Shailesh. Okay, so these are the questions for practice which will also be shared with on Snap homework. So it's all about this video. In this video I have revised whole syllabus of paper 1 of pre-board 3 and hoping that you all will score better in your pre-board 3. So thank you students for watching this video. See you tomorrow.